throws, swings.
There it is, there it is. Get out, get out. All right.
Hit number 4192.
Swing on and miss. And Tom Browning has pitched a perfect game.
And a high fly ball, center field. He hit it a ton. It's gone. And the 2010 Central Division Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds. And Homer Bailey has pitched a no-hitter.
You're listening to the Redlegs Radio Report with Jason and Todd on Bowling Green's home of the Reds, ESPN Radio.
Saturday morning.
It's Saturday morning, all right.
Yeah, I'm saying a lot of because of last night's game. Jason Harbison, Todd Smith with you on the Redlegs Radio Report. We're going to get into that in a minute. It was pretty bad last night, Todd. It was abysmal. Is that I use that word on the show a lot, abysmal.
Well, I saw a couple innings early, and I didn't get to see the late part. I just heard from you guys about it, so it sounds rough. Yeah,
you were kind of checking in and out of text there because you had stuff going on, which is understandably so, but I found it funny that the inning that you checked out with, because you had some stuff going on and then kind of came back to the game later, as you said, was the abysmal inning there where they just gave up, because it looked like it was all in hand. It looked like the Reds were just kind of cruising along. They had it in hand. Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute, but that was, I don't know.
Knucklehead.
Yeah. I think it's probably safe to play this song. Yeah. Little Brady Bunch, Time to Change. What happened at the All-Star break? This is such a, you have to be over 40 to get this reference here, because not many people are, first off, half of our listening audience is like, what's the Brady Bunch? Wasn't that a movie back in the 90s? I think there was, the guy that did Spider-Man's voice on the cartoon was Greg Brady, wasn't he? I think that's. I'm like, no, there was a TV show.
Well, the last few days I saw something where they're giving away, you get to stay like a weekend in the house if you win something.
Really?
Yeah.
The one out in California?
Yeah.
Really?
The one they filmed it in, yeah.
Huh.
Not the movie, the show.
Yeah, which is crazy because I'm sure all of those, it's, I guess with the onset of like Instagram and people having, phone cameras and all that, cameras on your phone, I should say, that some of those houses that were just kind of, not thought about. They say like that Full House that's always in the front of Full House. People are always stopping to get selfies, and people that live there can't stand it. The Mork and Mindy house, which is in Boulder, Colorado, people are there always trying to take pictures, and they always say like the Back to the Future house where Marty McFly, fell out of the tree. His dad, I guess, George McFly, fell out of the tree trying to look in on his soon-to-be wife. That house, those kind of things are always, a tourist trap, and the people that live there, the people that are on the street, can't get to it. I believe the house that was filmed up in Cleveland for Christmas Story, especially with the All-Star game being up there was like so many people going, even though it's in the middle of July. Christmas in July, I guess. But, those houses. But that's cool that you say that would you pay money to stay at the Brady Bunch house?
I don't know how much money I would pay, but I would stay there.
If I had a coupon, I would stay the night at the Brady Bunch house.
It's a pretty cool house.
Yeah. Now, would you go upstairs with like the, hang out in the Johnny Bravo room? Did they turn Greg Grady's attic into the Johnny Bravo room?
I don't know. I think I would hang down in the den, maybe.
Yeah, maybe have Alice cook you up something or whatever in the kitchen that had like it had like really weird like orange countertops or green counter. It was like something really 70s. I know it would start in the late 60s, but the early 70s.
It's probably, it's a 60s decor, I think, probably.
Yeah. Well, anyway, half those people are dead, so at least the parents and Alice. So this is to tell you how great the Reds are. We're talking about the Brady Bunch and, kind of keep going on the Brady Bunch. So that should tell you how great the Reds are doing.
4 minutes on the Brady Bunch,
yeah. Speaking of great things, we did have some promos out, and I'm always, super honest with you, probably more honest than I need to be on the air. We had some promos running that we're going to have Derek Dietrich on this week. We even tried recording an interview with Derek Dietrich, and you saw that he got injured this week, and he almost went on the DL, and then, of course, the game went late last night. So we thank you for bearing with us, but Derek Dietrich will not be coming on today. We've been working with their PR staff, and we're going to hopefully get him on in the coming weeks.
He's just so busy.
I guess so. Yeah, he's so busy hitting 213. Can't come on the Redlegs Radio Report. The guy played down here for an entire year with the Hot Rods. Anyway, no, I'm not angry about that. We totally understand. Things happen. But anyway, we're going to have on I guess you could say good backup. Reggie Sanders will be on later, so that's not that bad of a backup, if you will, to have. So
I like Reggie Sanders.
I tweeted out,
number 19.
True.
Is that right?
Yeah,
19.
Yeah, he wore 19 for a while. You're right. Yeah. And then also, too, I tweeted this out at Redlegs Radio Rep, if you're interested in reading our Twitter page. I said, we're going to have a guest today. We didn't know who it was going to be until like early this morning. We don't know if it could be a player, former player, current player, or the bat boy from the 1983 team. You never know. That would have been a good... at this point in the season, I'd talk to that guy. I'd love to talk to that guy. He'd remember the Brady Bunch because he'd be in his 40s or 50s if he was a bat boy back in 1983 for the Reds, right?
Yeah, should.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, he'd be a little older than I am. So yeah, he probably has some stories. I don't know. Maybe we'll get Rob Butcher and the staff on that. See if they can't get us the bat boy from 1983. So speaking of 1983, it was funny, and also of our Twitter, Tom Hume tweeted back because last night we were tweeting a bunch of things. And I always do show prep, of course, for the show, although it doesn't sound like I did any as far as the show is going right now, 6 minutes in.
This is going great.
This is going great.
I couldn't get to it fast enough, Todd. Sorry. I left you hanging there for a couple seconds. It was like dead air there for a couple seconds.
No worries. I've got it memorized.
Yeah, true. I'm pretty sure all of our little hot buttons you've got memorized. You could pretty much just recite. I don't even need to hit any buttons. But Tom Hume, anyway, I was saying that, I got to start over my show prep because of last night's game. Well, I got to start over my show prep because of last night's game because it was such a roller coaster. The Reds were winning, Reds were losing. Reds were coming back even as late as the ninth inning, bottom of the ninth, and they got within one run, and then Joey Votto got up. But anyway, neither here nor there. Tom Hume says, just wing it. And I'm like, okay, so we're just going to wing it today as best we can. So, yeah. So, to recap, this is not a spoiler alert or anything, so it's not like we're talking about Stranger Things or any of those shows. But just to recap, this may be where you want to turn down your radio or something like that for a couple seconds. A 7-0 lead was blown last night with a 10-run. That's right, I didn't stutter. That's a 10-run sixth inning by St. Louis. The Reds lose 12-11. Most of the time, the score was about 12-7. They came back late, and the game was just, as we were saying off air, Todd, the bullpen is taxed. The offense was there, and they had the game was going great for a while, and then all of a sudden, Malley got into trouble, and they brought in I can't think of the guy, Jared. What's his name?
Jared Hughes.
Hughes, thank you so much. And then the wheels fell off, and it was very reminiscent of the game David Weathers and Danny Graves pitched against St. Louis, ironically, a couple years ago when the wheels fell off. So
a 10-run inning.
10-run inning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It got, like I said, ugly really quick. Now,
here's what analytics gets you.
Yeah.
You don't use your eye and your brain for half the season and look at a pitcher like Sonny Gray or Luis Castillo, and you don't, see that he can go 2 more innings and go into the 7th, actually.
Right.
Instead, you bring in the bullpen, and the second half, the bullpen is fried.
Right. Because you've been doing that all season.
Let me tell you something. It's not going to get any better.
No.
So that's what analytics gets you.
True. Now you need to, and it goes back to the whole this matchup. He doesn't have the best record against this guy, or this guy's got a 357 batting average against him. Well, give him a chance. Go out there. It doesn't matter. Turn the analytics machine off in your brain if you can do such a thing, like you're saying, Todd, and just let the guy pitch. Let him go. I mean, really, this past week, Rourke and Gray had great starts. And just because the offense wasn't going, and that's how they lost those games, And again, another one run loss for the Reds. Now the game actually started out really interesting as well. Bell got ejected last night for a Reds record. That's right, the season's half over, 7 times this season, and Suarez got ejected as well. And we talked about that off the air, but how idiotic is that, really?
Yeah, I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a strike.
Yes, right. That's what
one.
That's what he was arguing.
And it was on the black.
Yeah.
So it's I understand chirping a little bit about it. Mm-hmm. Getting thrown out against St. Louis at home when you are 7.5, 8.5 games out, whatever they are now.
Yeah.
Is not wise.
Yeah. in the first inning, nonetheless, too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I understand Suarez is going back out. So it actually happened when Suarez went back out to his position, and it ended up where, you know, he was still kind of jawing at he was jawing at the umpire after he got, you know, after he struck out, and the umpire just kind of let him go. The umpire probably let him go a little too far, even, you know, in today's standards, if you will. I thought he should have been probably tossed then, but as he's going back out to play third base, that's when he's squawking more, and that's when they toss him. Yeah. Bell comes out of the dugout, gets up in his face, but it's Wainwright. I mean, I know Wainwright, you know, his stuff is gone.
He's going to get the corners.
He's going to get the corners. He's going to get the call. You have to understand that. You don't go getting yourself tossed out of a game, and then it ends up just being this debacle. I'm not blaming Freddie Benavides or anybody as the bench coach taking over, but, I mean, it just ended up going south quick, and it kind of started there.
I'll tell you, I am tired of not just Suarez, all these guys arguing pitches that are way too close to take.
Yeah.
Swing the bat. You're standing up there with a bat for a reason.
Yeah.
Swing it.
Yeah.
And I don't need to tell you where they get that stuff from.
Your best friend Joey Votto, probably, Todd. Yeah.
I mean, it rubs off. You see that happening all the time. It's, you know, these young guys are doing it.
Yeah.
Suarez knows better than that.
Yeah.
It was a strike to begin with, and even if you viewed it as not a strike, it's still way too close to take.
Yeah. I don't know if it just goes back to like the mentality of the team like you were talking about, but I mean, you can't just get the bat off your shoulder.
I saw a tweet that I thought was funny on that subject. It was like, you know what? Swing the bat, protect the plate, swing the bat. You're taught that as a 9-year-old.
Yeah, Little League. Get up there and swing the bat. Yeah, I mean,
anyway.
I don't get it. I don't get it sometimes, but there was a lot of reasons, and then of course the sloppy fielding. You know, Iglesias at shortstop, which is normally he is outstanding, but the game should have been over. He was trying to do this little razzle-dazzle thing where he was, or not, the game should have been over. The inning should have been over, excuse me. And he was trying to do this little razzle-dazzle thing with his glove where he was just going to kind of backhand it out of his glove instead of taking his hand and throwing it to second base to try to turn a double play, because I guess he was more concerned about getting on the ESPN highlight reel as opposed to actually getting the outs. Well, then the inning went on, and a lot of these runs came on 2 outs, which, you know, should have said something right there. And then one was hit sharply to Votto, and he booted it, and a couple more runs scored from there. So it's just like,
see, I missed this part.
Yeah, once the wheels fell, you didn't. Well, you technically didn't.
I should have known Votto would be involved.
Yeah. And really, as you were saying though, the bullpen is so taxed. Stevenson this past week gave up a big grand slam on Thursday night. That game was still somewhat within hand before that happened. You know, it's just, and yet Hernandez placed on the 10-day DL. You know, he's got the shoulder fatigue. Casale also on the IL with his right knees. You know, it's just Kyle Farmer, the backup catcher, who's not really even a catcher, was placed on the 7-day concussion list this past week. You know, and they actually had a tweet that I saw, and I think it was also on the pregame, where they showed when he got hit with that ball in the mask when they were playing Chicago. It left like a big dent in it.
Yeah, it rung his bell.
Yeah.
They had a pretty good close-up on that. I saw it live. When it happened, and it rung his bell.
You take, I mean,
and he took 2 or 3 of those off the mask like that.
Yeah, so that's what's really crazy about that.
You know what's concerning? Hey, use your glove, not your.
Yeah, get those foul tips quicker.
He's not. You know.
Yeah.
Of course, he's not really used to that level
True.
of catching. So.
True. I mean, he's been doing a great job for what he's been thrown into with all of the injuries, but I guess the bright shining star, if you could, from last night was catcher Ryan Lavarnway. That's right, Lavarnway, who was signed this past week to a 1-year big league contract from the Yankees. The Yankees released him. But last night, the guy had 2 home runs, came in, he caught a really good game. 2 home runs, a couple doubles. I mean, in his first game, I believe they were saying last night, I don't have the stat in front of me, but it's something like for a Reds debut, he has like one of the best Reds debut ever as far as like, no, actually he led the Reds debuts of all time, again, in the 150 years, with like 4 runs driven in on his first appearance in a Reds game.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because he's not, I looked at his stats, he's not really a hitting catcher.
No, he's not. And I mean, he's just been a kind of a journeyman because he's been up and down with many, many teams, you know, whether it's in the minor leagues or the majors. So he was the only really offense they had last night. But again, I say this all the time. I've said this on the show before. But these are guys, and I mean, you can even look back to the guy that kind of stood us up today, Derek Dietrich, that you can see I've gotten over it, that these are like no-name guys that are getting all of the offense for the Reds. You know, that's not right. That's another reason why they are in dead last, because it's almost like you can't count on the guys like Joey Votto. You can't count on, I mean, although, you know, Peraza's kind of turning things around a little bit, you can't count on those everyday guys to go out there and get the offense. You're getting these like no-name guys off the bench like Farmer and Casali, who started out the season really hot, and which is essentially what I was saying about Dietrich. And now you got Lavarnway, and it's like, yeah, well, it shouldn't have to be these guys.
Well, what are the chances? I mean, did you ever think that Winker, Puig, Votto, all these guys would be hitting 250, around 250 at this point? I mean, we have nobody that's you know, I'd say what, 270? I think Senzel's hitting 270.
Yeah,
that's the highest average we have. I mean, there's not no one's getting base hits regularly.
And I mean, Irving, ever since he's been called up kind of full time, he's hitting around 340, 348. Had a decent night last night, but Iglesias is actually at 285. He's come down a little bit off of his 300 mark, but yeah, Puig 261, Todd, like you're saying. But again, you got to have that consistency. I mean, these guys may go on a tear for a while. Look at Derek Dietrich; he's down like 214, 215, something like that after starting the world on fire.
Being plunked, like I said, and I think I tweeted you, he wouldn't have been on base since June.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, that's I can't think of a hit he's had. He's been on base because he got hit, you know, or walked or whatever, but I don't know. They need some hitters.
It's the thing that bugs me so much is that the Reds have these like historic stats, you know, like that Lavarnway one that I just said. Well, this is a guy that's like a backup to a backup to a backup catcher, you know, that they just signed. Who's getting that stat? Then you have Puig. There was another one I saw this week that he's hitting. You know, I said he's hitting 261. He's actually third in the NL with his batting average and OPS, but that's in the month of July. The last time I checked, the month of July was not the entire baseball season.
Yeah, he's been a lot better lately, and you know, but that doesn't help. May, June,
right?
You know, you've got yourself in this hole. Where are they at now? 8.5.
I don't have the stats from
maybe more.
7.5. If only we had these magical devices. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 different devices where we can look this up on. But and then again, the 2 other stats that are just mind-boggling. We talked about Bell getting ejected for the 7th time. That's also not a good stat that you want to be a part of. And of course, as you said, Todd, Dietrich getting plunked 21 times. I tweeted out this week that Derek Dietrich has been hit so many times that stat could actually go and buy a beer.
Right. So I just checked this magical device I have laying over here.
Yeah.
They're 9 out.
9 out. Yeah. Time to sell.
So the way things are going with no bullpen, by the end of the weekend, they'll probably be 11 out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've got two more big wins in this 4-game stand against the Cardinals. Then I believe they go to Milwaukee, and then they go to Colorado comes home for them. So in Colorado, I mean, who is a team that's kind of struggling now, pretty much manhandled the Reds this past weekend when they were out in Colorado. So, you know, there's probably going to be a little more of that. So I don't know if there's any end in sight. I don't know what's, you know, again.
Yeah, they have the Brewers, Colorado, and Pittsburgh, I think, are the next.
Yeah. So 2 teams that you can make up some serious ground on because of them being in the Central Division. But
I don't.
Yeah.
The way things are going, I don't know.
Not so hot. Well, anyway, we're going to take a break here on the Redlegs Radio Report. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Redlegs Radio Report. Same word. And then also Twitter at Redlegs Radio Rep. And thanks so much for listening to us on ESPN 102.7 and ESPN Radio 1027.com.
If your business needs to cool, chill, or freeze, or warm, heat, or cook, you know you can't afford to disappoint. That's why you call BG Refrigeration, because BG Refrigeration never disappoints. They satisfy any heating or cooling need your business may have. Factories, restaurants, malls, plants, big industrial warehouses, doesn't matter. BG Refrigeration is who you call. Commercial heating and ducts, AC maintenance and replacement, commercial refrigeration, restaurant equipment, cold storage warehouses. BG Refrigeration ensures your heating and cooling needs are met so your business doesn't suffer. Walk-in freezers, exhaust systems, systems, pizza ovens, ice makers, whatever heats or cools. If it's restaurant related, BG Refrigeration is, by far, the best company in South Central Kentucky to service them. In fact, there are a few companies that can or will even try to do what BG Refrigeration does every day. They're the company that's called in for the big jobs that require more experience, that need to be done right the first time. Why would you trust your business's commercial heating and cooling needs to anyone else? Turn to the experts. Call BG Refrigeration at 270-782-5391, where your comfort is their concern.
Okay, I'm on 65 right now. Which exit do I take?
You're going to want to take I-165.
No, I'm on I-65.
No, take I-165. Should be on the sign.
I'm pretty sure that's not a 1 there. I'm pretty sure that's just another I. I-65?
Aye. Well, ahoy, Polloy.
Look, I'm looking at it. I just don't see a 1 there. It's just I-6.
Suffering from post-natural confusion? See Gary Force Paint and Body Shop. iCar Gold Shop, certified with a lifetime warranty. 311 Vanderbilt Drive behind the Scottsville Road Post Office.
This is a Morgan & Morgan consumer message.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I am often asked, what is the value of my case? The answer, of course, depends on your injuries, liability, and the damages to you financially. And it also very much depends on the law firm you hire to represent you. Many times, firms are hired without much thought or research. All firms are not the same, not even close. I know of firms and lawyers who haven't tried a case in years, maybe never. The insurance company knows who they are, too. Some lawyers need the money more than you do. Go to forthepeople.com and look at our verdicts in court. Here you will see injuries just like yours. You will see what the insurance company offered and, more importantly, what a jury decided. You will have an idea what your case may be worth in our hands. And just because you've already hired a lawyer doesn't mean you can't fire them before it's too late. For over 30 years, Morgan & Morgan has been here at your time of need. There's only one Morgan & Morgan. On your cell, dial pound law, that's all. Offices, Bowling Green.
Hometown baking at its best. Franklin Bank and Trust.
Afraid of giving your personal banking information out to third-party payment apps but love the convenience? Hi, I'm Amber Fry with Franklin Bank and Trust, introducing instant person-to-person payments on our FBT mobile app. Instantly split that large popcorn with friends, handle utilities with roommates, or go halves on dessert with family without jeopardizing your financial information. Ask for an internet banking application to sign up today. Franklin Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
This is a Morgan & Morgan consumer message.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. All law firms are not the same. Some have the financial resources to fight corporate giants and insurance companies. Some may be struggling just to pay rent. Some are feared by the insurance industry because of their trial results and settlements. Others are just a joke. How would you know? Ask these questions, visit their websites, talk to judges and other lawyers. This is your life in your case. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Offices, Bowling Green.
This is This Date in Reds Baseball, brought to you by Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network.
At the Reds ballpark back in 1894, the bleacher seats were pretty close to the field, and balls that bounced into the seats were considered in play. Outfielders could hop the low fence and retrieve the ball. So in a game against Pittsburgh on this date, July 20th, the game tied in the bottom of the 10th inning, a Reds batter hit one into these seats. The Pittsburgh outfielder jumped the fence, but Reds fans took action. One tackled the outfielder, and another Reds rooter flashed his pistol to keep the outfielder out of the seats. And all the while, the Reds runner circled the bases, scoring the winning run. A strange but true tale from this July 20th, 1894, this date in Reds baseball.
This Date in Reds Baseball with team historian Greg Rhodes is brought to you by CincinnatiUSA.com, the official travel guide of Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. CincinnatiUSA.com.
Welcome back to the Redlegs Radio Report. ESPNKY.com, 102.7 ESPN Radio on your FM dial. Jason Harbison, Todd Smith with you on this beautiful Saturday morning in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Now, as I mentioned before, today's guest was a member of the Reds from 1991 to 1998, and he was a member of the 95 playoff team and also an All-Star of that same year, where he was hitting .306 with 28 home runs, 99 RBIs, and 36 stolen bases. He's also a Reds Hall of Fame nominee for the class of 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Reggie Sanders. Reggie, how are you doing today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, and we've been wanting to get you on for years. You're definitely one of our favorite Reds, and it's just so great to talk to you finally.
Thank you so much. You know, it's always great to rekindle and go back. And it's funny because I've been kind of thinking about it, and it's been 20 years, man. It's been a long time.
That's crazy. I mean, it doesn't seem like that long, does it, Todd? It seems like just yesterday he was playing for the Reds. Yeah.
Hey, but I would like to say I'm getting better with age.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, we were looking at some current pictures of you, and Todd and I were saying, he looks like he could still play.
Well, I don't know about that, but I tried my best to take care of myself.
Well, that's great. So Reggie, let's get right to it. In your 8 years with the Reds, what are some of really your fondest memories? It was the team that you were with the most throughout your career.
Yeah. So, you know, it's always first of all, it's always rewarding when you set out on a journey in college to ultimately get drafted and then hopefully get to the major leagues. And so what I just remember the first. It's always been the first. Cincinnati was the first for everything. The first to get drafted. The first leaving home for a good period of time. The first being able to become a man, balancing a checkbook, washing clothes, first for a lot of things. And so when I think of the Reds, I think of it as a family thing for me. And I'm so grateful just for the opportunity that the organization had given me at that time. And that's what I really remember and hold true to my heart to this day for that first opportunity with the Reds.
Hey, Reggie, this is Todd. You played with 8 different teams for 17 years in the major leagues. What do you attribute your longevity to?
That's a great question. Well, obviously there are a lot of unsung heroes that speak life into me, and first starting obviously with my mom and dad, my grandmother, and my coaches, and then also when you think of the minor leagues and what that brings in terms of development and the families that really are caretakers in the minor leagues to help build us and help support us while we're in the minor leagues as well. So I definitely can't forget about them. And then making it to the major leagues. When I came up with the Reds, you had Eric Davis. And the beautiful thing about Eric is Eric was hurt, so they called me up to play center field. And so typically, when you call somebody up and that's coming to really take your position, there could be some type of ego-ness there. But Eric, from day one, took me out to center field, showed me the ropes, and said, "Man, I'm wishing you well. Don't worry about me. I will be fine." And he really endorsed me and gave me, the good energy to go do what I needed to do. Glenn Braggs was a guy that took me under his wing as well. He literally gave me a car to drive, one of his cars to drive. He let me stay in his apartment. He treated me just like I was a family member. Barry Larkin, we became very close friends. Our families, we would travel together, spend so much time together. There's just, we can go we can just go on and on down the list. But those are the things that when I look back at the 20 years, those are the things that me and my wife, we still talk about to this day. And also in just how the fans, it is a baseball town. It's a town that loves their Reds, and also they will get on their Reds when they need to motivate them. But I'm just so grateful in terms of what the Reds organization and the community has really done for me to sustain the 17 years in baseball.
Wow, that's great stuff. Reggie, this is Jason again. Now, you were part of the 2001 World Series Championship Diamondbacks and also the 2002 NL Champs Giants. Now, was it better for you coming from those teams? You were basically just there for 1 year at a time, or more of the long success that you had with the Reds over 8 years?
Well, you know what? I would have to say it all stems from the Reds. Even when, and I think this is probably, maybe a little bit of the issue in terms of the Reds Hall of Fame is 95 was an amazing regular season, but the postseason wasn't so great. We had the team to win it all, but I wasn't able to help the team the way that I should have and needed to at that particular time. And it was a really difficult process in terms of, for myself, it really brought to a point where I really didn't want to play baseball anymore. I needed to really deal with that internally and to overcome that. And I think that's why in 2001 I was able to have so much success in the World Series with the Arizona Diamondbacks was because of the experience that I had in 1995.
Well, yeah, 1995 too was your All-Star year, and like you said, I mean, it was just a great year for the Reds. But unfortunately, in the playoffs, your numbers were down. I believe you were around 125, 154, depending on. I didn't mean to bring that back up again, but as you were as you were saying though, that it was a time that you didn't want to play baseball anymore, which is really hard as a fan and a broadcaster to think that something like that just affected you so much.
Well, I think maybe people do realize, or maybe they don't, but all players have a heart for the game. They work so hard to produce and do what is necessary for themselves, for their family, and also for the community and the team that they play for. And when things don't happen the way that the player themselves interpret or go out, set forth to do, then there is a somewhat of a depression that sets in, and so you have to deal with that and overcome that because there is a season or the next game.
Reggie, it's Todd again. We've interviewed several of your teammates from the 90s teams, and it seemed like the common theme was that you guys, that team, you thought you were a World Series winning team. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I was giving a talk the other day, and that's one of the things I talk about a lot is that 1995 season to the young generation, and one of the things that we were that I always talk about is what do you do when you've done everything that you possibly could do to be prepared for the game that night, and then you don't execute the way that you needed to execute it? What do? And it's one of those things that's kind of a daunting thing. It's like I prepared, I did everything I needed to do, I know I'm ready, and it just did not happen. And so those are the things in terms of when I think of the 1995 season. It was a team definitely that could have gone all the way and won the World Series, but I still hold real strong to the fact that I wish that I would have been able to help the team the way that I needed to.
Absolutely. Oh, we're talking in with Reggie Sanders, of course, a 90s era former Red, and also a 2018 Reds Hall of Fame nominee. Now, Reggie, this is Jason again. What are your thoughts? It's kind of a cheesy question, but what are your thoughts about being nominated for the Reds Hall of Fame?
Yeah, well, obviously it's an honor. It's meaningful, more importantly, with the time that I spent there, and there are people that recognize the effort that I put on and off the field for the Reds, and so yeah, it's a blessing. I'm grateful, and I just thank everyone for supporting me in terms of getting the ultimate thing, and that's winning the ballot.
Reggie, it's Todd again. How many home runs do you think you might have hit in Great American Ballpark?
That's quite interesting. I can't. Oh, you know what? So this is okay. So who's the first player to have hit a home run in Great American Ballpark?
It wasn't a Red.
No.
I can't remember.
I can't remember.
It's myself.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So I was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. That was 2003.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Let me see. When was the ballpark?
Yeah, it opened in 03. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was 2003, and so we were there obviously, and I hit the home run, and then they said, "Do you realize you're the first?" I was like, "Wow, that's a full circle moment."
Well, it's okay because I think Sean Casey hit the first home run when he was with the Reds at Pittsburgh. So.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, we all love Casey. He's a good man.
Yeah. No, we've had George Foster on the show a couple times, and we asked him the same kind of goofball question: how many home runs would he hit in Great American Ballpark? And he always jokes that he said he would hit 70, but he would have hit 70 by the All-Star break.
Now that's pretty good.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, Reggie, what you've been doing post baseball.
Yeah, quite a few things. So obviously, I have 4 girls, and we have a grandson now. My oldest, Cody, is 24 years old, and so she went to Anderson University, and now she's working and thriving. And our grandson is 2 years old. His name is Campton. He'll be turning 3 in the next month or so. And then we have Kerrigan, who is 18 years old, going to Coastal Carolina University, studying special education there. And then Carson, who is 16, and then Cooper, who is 13. And then my wife, we've been married for 24 years, and she's doing great as well, putting up with me. Then let's see, I'm part ownership with Kyle Ripken. We started in the minor league ballpark space. We owned 3 minor league ballparks. We sold 2 of them, and we still own Aberdeen, Maryland, because of the Orioles relationship with that. We transitioned into tournaments, which is called Ripken Experience. Where we currently live, we have one in Myrtle Beach, which is called Ripken Experience. There's over 500 teams that come from around the world to play tournaments. We opened up one in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, which is a replication of the one here. And then we have a place in Aberdeen, Maryland, which is more instructional for young players to get training. And then I run my nonprofit organization for autism. My brother, who's 40 years old today, he has autism. And if you think 40 years ago, man, it was 1 in 10,000. Today it's 1 in 68. And it's 4 times as many boys, so it's 1 in 42. So it's amazing. I go around the country supporting, and it seems like it almost touched every family. And so we're doing some wonderful, amazing things within our foundation. You can just go to reggiesandersfoundation.org. And then also I work with the Kansas City Royals. I am special assistant to baseball operations. So what that means is I help foster the next generation and supporting the young upcoming players, as well as being a conduit between the players and the management as well.
Wow, it sounds like that you've got a full plate there. You're still in baseball, and it's just weird to me to think that you've got grandkids because we can still think of you out there playing on the field at Riverfront. So.
Well, you know what? It's all of it's well, all of it's good, and and one of the things I'm just so grateful for is being able to do something that is meaningful, that's also that I can still be in baseball in some capacity to help foster the next generation of men. So that's what I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, that's all great stuff. And Reggie, we can't thank you enough for coming on our show today. And before we let you go, give out that website one more time so people can get more information. Yeah, so
ReggieSandersFoundation.org. And then in the next week or so, ReggieSanders.com will be put up as well. So, yes, those are the two places.
Outstanding. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and we hope to see you up in Cincinnati next summer when you are inducted into the Reds Hall of Fame. You definitely get our votes down here in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Well, thank you guys so much, and I appreciate everyone.
All right, thanks so much, Reggie. We'll talk to you later.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Are you looking for fun, local, affordable entertainment for the whole family? The Bowling Green Hot Rods have you covered this spring and summer with the all-new Family Pass. Get up to 6 tickets for family and friends to all Sunday through Thursday games, including 3 fireworks days during the 2019 season. Call the Hot Rods and get your personalized membership card with the Hot Rods Family Pass today at 901-2121. Bowling Green Hot Rods Baseball. Fantastic.
Thanks to modern realities of speed and distraction, Interstate Highway Ditch can be yours. Here's how. Next time you're in a car and the driver's driving recklessly, simply say nothing. Ignore that little feeling in the pit of your stomach, and you too can experience Interstate Highway Ditch. Interstate Highway Ditch has been associated with rollovers, passenger ejection, and death. Passengers who wish to avoid Interstate Highway Ditch can do so by following simple steps, like speaking up and telling their friends to slow down.
There is no spokesperson to prevent reckless driving. There's only you. Speak up. This has been a message from the Ad Council.
Brooke Ellison is a surprising person.
When I was 11 years old, I was hit by a car, and no one expected me to live.
She surprised people by living.
I've been paralyzed from the neck down and on a ventilator since that time.
And she surprised them by going to college.
Tomorrow, I will graduate from Harvard.
Brooke Ellison, determination. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Every night, Jack Thomas camps out on a cold, lonely street corner. Tonight, some people almost brought him something to eat. Someone almost drove him to a shelter. Another almost brought him a warm blanket. And Jack Thomas, well, he almost made it through the night. Sometimes instead of giving, we almost give. But that's the same as not giving at all. Don't almost give. Give. Visit don'talmostgive.org. A message from the Ad Council.
The Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame moment looks at perfection. On Friday evening, September 16th, 1988, the Reds were getting ready to host the first game of a big weekend series against then-division rival Los Angeles. The Dodgers would go on to win the World Series, but on this night, the baseball gods would be smiling down on a 28-year-old left-hander from Casper, Wyoming. After a 2-hour and 27-minute rain delay, Tom Browning would finally throw the first pitch of the game. 1 hour and 51 minutes later, he would throw the last and forever be a special part of Cincinnati Reds history.
There is no one standing that we can see, or sitting rather, that we can see in this ballpark. They are all up and on their feet and rooting individually and collectively for Browning to get one final out. He is ready for the 2-2 to Woodson, and here it comes. And it is swung out and missed. And Tom Browning has pitched a perfect game. 27 outs in a row, and he is being mobbed by his teammates just to the third base side of the mound. A perfect game thrown by Tom Browning on this Friday night, September the 16th, 1988.
This Hall of Fame moment is brought to you by the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, presented by Dinsmore.
Welcome back to the Redlegs Radio Report. Jason Harbison, Todd Smith with you on this super, super hot Saturday. It's going to be hot. I did see, you're going to think I'm lying, but before you got in here, Todd, Chris Allen was here. Of course, he's on our sister station, Sam 100.7. He was in here today because he's also the weatherman on WBKO.
Yeah.
And I was asking him, I'm like, it's going to be hot? And he's like, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Nah.
Nah. Which is really, I'm sure he loves getting that. Like, the poor guy probably can't, like, walk into a restaurant or go out to the mall without somebody being like, hey, is it going to be hot today? Hey, well, what's going to happen? Do you think it's going to snow? Or whatever.
With the heat index, yeah, it's going to be 170.
Yeah, give or take. Yeah. So it was interesting that the Hall of Fame moment was, of course, Tom Browning's perfect game, because last night, of course, former Reds pitcher Mike Leake, who is now with Seattle, took a perfect game into the ninth last night against the Angels, and his first batter that he faced he gave up a a single. So it was really, really close. History almost made, but which is funny because not funny, but just goes to show you how the game of baseball is. Because Mike Leake was shelled his last game and pulled early, then goes out and throws a near perfect game.
And he doesn't really have no-hit stuff. He just gets ground balls.
Yeah.
It's kind of surprising that he took one into the ninth.
Yeah. Well, and as you're saying, too, I think he's up. He might be a free agent next year. I'm not sure of his contract, but he could be one of those guys that are moved to the trade deadline.
Yeah,
So,
I think this is his free agent year.
Yeah.
I think he makes, they were talking about it being a problem because his numbers were and he makes a lot of money.
Well, okay, so now we can get into this. So we've got some time in the show. Trade deadline coming up. Now, this year it's interesting. We talked on Brian Webb's Sports Web show when I was on a couple of weeks ago that a lot of people don't realize that there's the no waiver trade deadline is now gone. This is the first year that they're just having the one trade deadline. So there's no kind of grace period, if you will, where teams can still make trades after the trade deadline. It's just pretty much one and done. So the 31st of this month is when it's over, and that's whatever time of the day it is. I think it's usually 4 or 5 o'clock, something like that, and teams are usually making last-minute trades. Players are sometimes waiting for text. You always hear about, stories like Jay Bruce never knew he was going to be traded until the last second, or, he was waiting to be traded and, expecting a text, and he was just kind of staring at his phone, didn't know where he was going to go, and, what's going to happen with the Reds? That's my bigger question. What's going to happen with the Reds? What should they do, Todd?
Sell.
Yes. End of show. Thanks everybody for coming out. Yeah.
The thing is, they're 9 games out. Even at the All-Star break, I felt this way.
Mm-hmm.
They're 5.5, 4.5. They'll get up. They may have even got to 3.5.
Yeah, they were 3.5 there, a couple games before the All-Star break, but they ended up being 4.5.
And then they will lose 3. 3 games off the pace, and it's just not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Milwaukee, who I think is the best team in the division.
I agree.
They're going to acquire impact players.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be Milwaukee for the division. If you get into the wild card, you're going to get stomped by the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Sell.
Mm-hmm.
And play for next year because this team's not going to do it.
Well, and so the bigger question is then who do the Reds sell? There's Puig, of course. You got Puig and Rourke are in their free agent years as well. Do you get rid of them? Is there any other than getting fans in the seats, because Puig, you never know what he's going to do next. You never know if he's going to take on a whole entire baseball team. You don't know what's going to go on with him. I mean, they had the bobblehead night this past week, which was a big. It wasn't a sellout, but there were a lot of people there for a Thursday night game to get him on a horse with the horse's tongue out and his tongue out in a bobblehead. So he's going to put some rears and seats there. But do you get rid of him? Rourke, obviously, Rourke could really, really help one of those teams you're talking about, that need, because there's more teams out there that need starting pitching, and ironically, as bad as the Reds are, they don't need starting pitching.
I'll let Rourke, I trade Rourke.
Really?
Rourke.
Mm-hmm.
Say it right.
Yeah.
Because you got Sims.
Yeah.
That needs to be plugged into that spot. I 100% believe that.
Yeah.
I trade Puig.
Mm-hmm. You do it now?
At least by the deadline.
Yeah.
Because he's going to bring more than anybody else. And then I think one of the infielders, whether it's Jeanette, of course, it's hard to do anything with him because you're not going to get anything. He's, still not back to 100%.
Yeah.
Peraza, Dietrich, one of those 3 is probably going to go.
Yeah, and you could say the same thing for the outfielders with the way that Irvin has been playing recently, hitting .348. The guy that's really not getting a lot of playing time now, of course, with Senzel being kind of nursing day-to-day type things with him. He's not on the IL, but hasn't been in the lineup kind of regularly. Irving's going to get a shot, so maybe you could, with moving Puig out there, that's probably going to open up some spots there. But, there was even some conversation. I saw some tweets about Winker, maybe trading him off to somebody. So,
I'm surprised he's going to hit 250, apparently. That's, I think that surprises everybody. But he's a left-hander, and, he could bring a little return. But Puig's the only guy they've got that's really going to bring back something. And I think they should do it. I hate to right off the season, but rerealistically, are they going to actually try to compete with the Brewers and the Cubs?
There's no way. There's no way in my mind that they can do it. And I will admit, I said it on the show that before the All-Star break, I'm like, man, they could make 1 or 2 moves. They maybe get a guy for the bullpen because at the time the bullpen wasn't too taxed. Of course, we talked at the top of the show how they are now. But you could get another one of those guys and maybe get a big bat in here, and the Reds would be super dangerous. And again, they just have no consistency, like you're saying, Todd.
Yeah.
They just have no. They'll go and it's just a roller coaster ride of a season. Now, granted, I will give you this: they are in dead last place, but they're more interesting to watch than last year's team at this time. And it's maybe just because of the personalities and just the way that they're, And it goes back to losing the one-run games. And they were saying this last night on the telecast that the Cardinals tend to win those one-run games.
You know why? They do the little things that they move runners. They don't stand up there and swing from the hills when a runner needs to be moved. And those are the things that win games. This team cannot do that.
And also, they don't, sit there and watch, balls that are on the black, as you say, go by and then get thrown out in the first inning.
Of everything else, that's the thing I'm most sick of. Swing the bat.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to take a break here on the Redlegs Radio Report. Coming up, we got a lot more great talk on ESPN Radio 1027.com, ESPN Radio 102.7.
McGowan TV Sales and Service, your home entertainment specialist in Bowling Green. Whether you're looking for custom home theater, flat panel and front projector installation, multi-room audio systems, outdoor audio environments, McGowan TV Sales and Service gives free quotes. So give them a call on your next home entertainment project at 842-5574. McGowan TV Sales and Service at 1011 East 10th Street in Bowling Green, 1/2 block off the 31W bypass. Locally owned and operated for over 50 years.
This is a Morgan & Morgan consumer message.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. One of the first things clients ask me is, what is my case worth? It depends on the injury, liability, and damages. And in most cases, it depends on the lawyer you hire. All lawyers are not the same. I would like to invite you to visit forthepeople.com to see what your case might be worth. You will see injuries like yours, offers made by the insurance company, and verdicts made by juries. We try more cases than any firm in America every year. Insurance companies know which law firms try cases and which firms settle cheap. Your case value is different in the hands of different lawyers. There was only one Babe Ruth, and then hundreds and hundreds of minor league players. I've been around now a long time, fought countless battles. We are fighters who take on giants. In some cases, you hired your lawyer without doing your research, and you can just as quickly fire them if you now think you made a mistake. You only get one swing of the plate. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Offices, Bowling Green.
Mohawk Outdoors is a 501c3 organization. Our mission is to promote the healing of combat veterans suffering from their wounds of war by incorporating the great outdoors. We've personally seen how these efforts can leave a positive impact on veteran lives, so we strive to provide similar opportunities for others who may benefit. The self-inflicted loss of our battle buddies and the current suicide rate of those that served is unacceptable. We need your help to better assist those who have protected this great country. Like us on Facebook or visit mohawkoutdoors.com for more information.
Welcome back to the Redlegs Radio Report. We're just sitting here talking. We didn't even realize that the commercial break was over. Todd and I are talking.
Yeah,
just kind of, hey, the music's playing. Maybe we're doing a radio show here. Maybe we got
a show to do.
Yeah, I don't know. Why start now, right? Show's almost over. Why put any content on the air now? That's what I would say. So, but what do we know? If you missed any of our Reggie Sanders interview, you can go back and listen to that on ESPN Radio 1027.com. Those are all put up at the first of the week by our good buddy James Brown. Get up, get on up. And you can listen to those in any of our last shows. Speaking of some of these things, Todd, people were saying, and by people, there was like one or two guys, and they were, wanting to know if we're going to bring any of our little segments back. I know this one was one of your favorites, Todd.
The beating of the week.
Yeah, the beating of the week. Haven't had that in a while. We used to always have like the best of the week.
The best of the week.
By the way, that's my daughter's voice. She's now 13. She sounds nothing like that.
That was what, 5 or 6 years ago?
Yeah, it was 5. I mean, Darren and Tim were still here when we were doing the best of the week.
Beating of the week.
But the beating of the week, though, it definitely has to go, especially last night, to the Reds. And again, when we say beating of the week, we don't mean anybody goes out and gets beaten up or anything like that. It's just, it's kind of a fun, tongue-in-cheek kind of thing there. But
yeah, it's like the dunce hat.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So it's I'm going to have to go with Suarez, of course, Dietrich for somewhat standing us up on the air. No, I'm just kidding. Dietrich, Suarez, Votto, really the whole team last night. And I know, Todd, you could go on and on about who you think the beating of the week should be.
I think the whole team should get a beating of the week.
Yeah, no doubt behind that at all. So,
Suarez last night, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of other segments, we got to play this one too.
It's time for the Redlegs Radio Report. Bag of mail.
He's a good, hard-working boy. Let him bring in your mail.
So, I'm playing this because this was a tweet that I put out, and this is our mailbag kind of portion of the show that we used to do a lot of. That I put a tweet out there because Jim Day said that it's like, oh, well, this score is going to turn into a beer league softball game. So I questioned that, and I said, what do you, I didn't mention Jim Day, but I kind of put it out to our listeners and our Twitter followers. And I said, is that really a thing like beer league softball? I mean, I remember hearing about all of these leagues or whatever, like back in the 70s, where I heard people say, oh, yeah, they'd have a keg at first base and they'd have a keg at third base, and you'd go out there, and if you got on, you got to pour yourself a beer and all the... And I said, now, when people say beer league softball, does that mean that just the guys go out afterwards for beers, like they go to a BW3's or some kind of wings place? Does that constitute beer league softball? And, of course, you and I played for years here with the station, with our softball team. I played back in Ohio. You played, growing up. You played baseball growing up. And I can never remember, I mean, granted, guys would go out afterwards to get beer, but the whole, myth of, oh, yeah, cracking open a beer in a dugout and that kind of thing, taking one out with me, I had one in my back pocket, I never knew of that because, of course, here locally, you can't drink on the fields. And, I mean, just with, all of the insurance things that go on with that, you can't have grown men. First of all,
I think they did a lot of that on private property. And
I guess, but yeah. But anyway, I put that question out there, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, I just did it last week. Matter of fact, Mo Ager from 700 WLW was saying, yeah, just last week I took a beer with me out to second base, and I'm like, that's still a thing? I didn't know that was an actual thing where people would oh, yeah, in the dugout we had a six-pack, and people would go in there, and everybody wants to be the designated hitter so they don't have to go out and play the field. They can just sit there and drink beer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is this still a thing? How is it a thing in 2019 that's still appropriate? That's, because you and I played softball together for years, and it doesn't matter if it's just a pickup church league game, whatever. There's going to be, heads are going to be butted there, I guess, if you will, because people they act like it's Game 7 of the World Series. It doesn't matter. And then you throw alcohol in the mix.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
Well, it wouldn't cause me any trouble because after I drink two, I'd be asleep. I'd be asleep in the dugout under the bench.
Can confirm. I've been camping with you many times.
Yeah, I can't. Beer just,
Yeah, but I can't imagine that on a hot day like today, if you're playing a softball game and you're like, hey, I'm going to go play beer. Maybe it was just a thing that, I guess, in folklore through the 70s that happened, but people are like, no, you can still go out. There's a park in Cincinnati. They still do that. I just played in I played in a league. I played in the fall league. I played in the spring league, and we even have a winter league sometimes. And I'm just like, what? How? I can't imagine it's with guys that are so worried about their stats, and you're playing these leagues that usually have to speed up the game, you'll have a 1-and-1 count when you go to the plate. And then also you can only hit so many home runs because, after the third home run that goes over the fence, it's an out. So guys are always worried about their stats, even though they may be, very, very far from ever making even a minor league team. But I just don't understand how that's a thing. But evidently, I'm wrong, and it's still a thing, at least in the Cincinnati area.
Yeah, well, we're in a little town here, not much,
I mean, Bowling Green's a decent sized. I mean, it's a medium sized town, but I mean, I grew up in a small town, and I mean, I never remember hearing. I grew up in, and people can back me up on this. I grew up in the drinking capital of Ohio. There was more beer sales per capita there than any other county in Ohio, and I never remember hearing about any beer league softball games or anything like that. People were drinking at high school graduations. It was everywhere.
Yeah, but I think it kind of got popular after that, didn't it?
I don't know.
I heard a little bit about it around here, but not much.
It's kind of like your kickball baseball or whatever you used to have. It's lives on in folklore. What was it called?
Of course, we were 13. So
yeah, what was that called again? Baseball
kickball baseball.
Kickball baseball. Where you're basically playing baseball with one of those big red kind of dodgeballs that you remember from
you're swinging a bat at it. And I'm telling you, it would be like, well, it's 3 blocks down. Because that thing would travel if you got it. If you hit it well.
I'd be right behind you if you started a baseball kickball league.
I'm thinking about it.
You should do that. Maybe get some of these Reds players to play on it because they sure as heck can't hit a baseball. Maybe they can
hit a kickball.
Maybe they can hit a kickball the size of a beach ball. Who knows? All right, we're going to shut the show down here on the Redlegs Radio Report. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to check out our show, and then also our past shows on ESPNRadio1027.com in podcast form, and also on iTunes and any other place where you can get your podcast. Todd, thanks so much. Oh, by the way, who's playing today? Yeah, the Reds are. Miles McCullough, 4:15 versus Castillo. Tonight's game's at 6:10 Central, right here on ESPN 102.7.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form.